Hello everyone and welcome to another Feed Army video. My name is Emmanuel and today I will show you how to submit a Google Shopping feed from WooCommerce to Google Merchant Center using CTX Feed, which is a free plugin. This is a sponsored video, however I have full editorial control, so I will share my own opinions and experiences with this plugin. So let's go and have a look in WooCommerce WordPress and see how to set everything up. So when you're in your WordPress website, so this is a local host, and what you want to do is go to plugins, add plugin, type in CTX Feed, and install this. All you need as a requirement is WooCommerce. Once it's installed, we want to activate the plugin. There we go. And it is now active. But this tutorial will show you both the CTX Feed free version and the pro version. For now, I will activate the pro version so that I can show you all the steps, and I will highlight which is which within the feed. So once that you are in the manage feeds, what you want to do is change the auto update interval from 1 hour to 24 hours. The reason is that Google Merchant Center only collects once per day, so there's no point updating the feed more than once per day because that will use more resources of your server. There is no need. Now, what we can do now is go and click on New Feed. We can choose the country, let's say United States. Select our template, Google Shopping. Give it a name. I will call it test1 template. For the file type, I do not recommend XML and change it to TSV. The reason is that XML files are bigger than normal. So each attribute name will be repeated for every product. So let's say we have the title. If you have 100 products, then the title attribute, the name itself, will be repeated 100 times, while with TSV it's only as a header. So you have at the top ID, title, description, image link, etc. So this is not repeated more than once. That means that the files are much lighter, so your server doesn't need to work as hard, and Google can much quicker load the files in because it's a much smaller file. And then we can choose the currency if we want to change it, but as it's United States, we want to keep the same currency. Now, what we see here is that all the attributes are pre-selected, and this is great. However, the only downside is if you want to add more attributes, you cannot create custom attributes. You have to basically select what is predefined. And sometimes you want to add your own attributes within the feed so that you can create custom feed rules in Google Merchant Center. So I do that quite frequently when there's a custom attribute that I can then combine in Google Merchant Center or to reuse as a different attribute. So what I have done is created a custom version that you can download yourself, and I will share the link in the description, which allows you to add all the custom attributes by value, by typing out the value instead of having to pre-select everything. So what we will do is just leave this as it is. So remove that and save. Now we go back to manage feeds, and what we want to do is go to import feed, choose the file that we want. So that's my template file. Give it a name, custom Google Shopping, and click on import now. Now what we will see is when we view the file is that all the values are now, instead of a pre-select value, a written out value. So if we add, for example, a new attribute, we can then add our own. So let's say custom, and let's say title. assuming that you want to add the title. For example, in my case, it would be maybe promotional details or pricing details, as anything else that I need for example, setting up more advanced features in Google Merchant Center and for setting up campaigns in Google Ads. This also allows you to have more attributes pre-selected. So as you can see, I've added product length, short title. I've also added the product type and the GTIN attributes. I will add more attributes in here so that you can then add these values as well. Of course, this is not a requirement. This is just an optional attribute that you can use. Let's click on Save. And now let's create one more file, and I just want to show you the difference between XML and CSV. So let's click on the new feed. Let's select a Google Shopping template, test to XML, leave that, and leave everything so that it is identical to the first test. Update and generate. And let's click on this link. And now what you can see is that for each item, so you can see here item, every attribute is repeated. Title, title again, title again. And that of course is not good if you have thousands and thousands of even 10 to 20,000 products. That is going to bloat this file to quite a big size, and that takes longer for Google to pre-process. So it's better that you have smaller files. Now if we do this with the first template, which is a CSV file, let's go and update and generate. Now if we open this file, we can see that the attribute name is only repeated once at the top. ID, title, description, item group, ID, etc. So that is great to be used. I've also I just noticed that I've added another attribute, which is canonical link. But as I mentioned, I will add more attributes in here so that you can use it. Another great thing with using CTX Feed is that it creates the attribute URL for that specific variant. So if you have multiple variants, in this case small, medium and large, it then pre-selects that when we go and have a look. And this is actually a requirement for Google Merchant Center. So now we can see that medium is pre-selected, and that is great because sometimes you might have a different price. Let's say that the small one is $80 and the big one is $90. Then what will happen is that the price will automatically change based on that pre-selection, and then that will match up in Google Merchant Center, and that is a requirement. And that's why it's great to see that all the products does have an attribute assigned to it. Now for products that don't have any variants, these will be then without the attribute parameter in the URL. So out of the box, this plugin will create a feed that you can plug in straight into Google Merchant Center. So I will go over all the other features, but first let's go and have a look how to submit this information to Google Merchant Center. So let's go ahead and copy the URL that you have and go to Google Merchant Center. Now that you are in Google Merchant Center, what you want to do is go to Settings and then Data Sources. If you don't see it here, it will be in the top right corner. This is the new UI, so you might still have the older UI. Google does not update the UI for everybody equally, so some merchants will have newer UIs while others will have the older one. But what you do is just go to Data Sources, go to the primary source, click on Add Product Source, choose the second option, add a product from a file, and then link it in here. Now, certain features down here you will not see if you are not having certain features enabled. So for example, the feed label will not be visible if you don't have advanced data feed management enabled. So let's go ahead and enable that. So I will just cancel that for now. And what we want to go to is add-ons. And here you should see advanced data feed management. In this case, you don't see it here because it's already enabled. So if we go to your add-ons, which means the active ones, you can see advanced data source management already. Now if we go to discovery, that will be for you, and you click on add. Then when you go to data sources, You add your source, select add products from file, add your link, then you can choose this label. Why is this beneficial? That is so that in Google Ads you can specifically assign a campaign to a feed label instead of using the target country. So for example, if you want to submit multiple feeds with different labels, then you can do that and assign it based on the feed label instead of the country. And then all you do is click on continue, and now you can see it is added. Now let's have a look at the different options. So the great thing is that you can assign the categories. So this is for the free version that is available, category mapping. What we want to do is click on add new category mapping. Now, one thing I want to explain to you is that this is not a requirement, because in Google Merchant Center, all categories are automatically mapped if there are none available in the feed. So if you skip this, then Google will auto assign the category for you. However, sometimes in rare conditions, it can be incorrect due to the titles or descriptions being a little bit vague or not enough information for Google to assign it automatically. So if you want to avoid that, you can pre-assign it yourself. So what we want to do is select Google Shopping. I will call this feed army _ cat mapping. And what we want to do is for the sweaters, that's the top. So basically what you want to do is just search for what category it is. If you want to see the full list, what you can do is go to the product data specifications, search for Google product category. And once you go here, you can click on the TXT file. And here are all the values, so you can search what is best if you want to see multiple values in one go. For example, if we go to tops, here we go, then we can see all the other values that we can use as well. Don't copy the whole line, just make sure it's either the value, the numeric value, or the text name itself without the hyphen and the space. Let's go back here and continue setting this up. Shirts, that is also a top, so we'll select this. Accessories, that will be just apparel and accessories clothing. Or we can actually go one lower and just choose apparel and accessories. Jackets, we can search for coats or jackets, and then that will show up. And then we save category mapping. Now for this to apply, you have to go to the feed, go to your setup, so whichever you've set up. Let's continue with custom Google Shopping. First, what we want to do is clear the cache. If we don't do that, then anything you've assigned, for example, the attribute mapping, dynamic attributes, category mapping, or the WP options, then nothing will show up here. I got confused the first time when I did not clear the cache. I was like, why is this not here? But that's the reason. So clear the cache. And then when we go to Google product category, so this one, then if we scroll all the way or near the bottom, we can see category mapping, and you can see that is now added. So if we go and update and generate the feed, and we open the file, we can see that the categories are mapped here, although with a number. So that is absolutely fine. You can use the number or the full category name. This will make the file a little bit smaller, so numbers are fine. But if you like to see what the text is, you can change that as well, and maybe set up your own mapping manually using other methods. To do that, you can use, for example, attribute mapping or dynamic attributes. If you use dynamic attributes for the category mapping, that will be more suitable because you can do an if-else statement. Or in category mapping, what you can also do is just do a custom template, and then whatever you type in here will be then the value itself. Because we use the Google Shopping, CTX Feed will automatically map it to the number instead of the full value. So that's also how you can do that. That is actually great. Well, what I like about this plugin is that you have different ways of achieving the same result. So whatever you prefer, you can do. So now let's have a look at attribute mapping. This is a pro version. So the pro version is attribute mapping and dynamic attributes. So when we add a new mapping, we'll give it a name. Let's say we want to create our own custom titles. And then for the separator, let's do space hyphen space. Or what we can also do is a pipeline. So sometimes it depends on what you're selling. Visually, sometimes having a pipeline is better than using a hyphen. But in the end, you can choose whatever you like. Both are okay to be used. To be a little bit different, let's choose a pipeline. So what we want to add is a title. So we choose product title, then add another one. And what we want to do is, let's say, brand. But it's sometimes it's better to have the brand in front of the title instead of at the end. However, if you search your own listings, you can see the brand, so the store name already in the shopping listings. So what I do, depending on the situation, I prefer to put the brand at the back and then have the title at the front, because I want customers to see the product name itself first and not the brand, because there's only a certain amount of characters that you can see in the shopping listings and everything else will be hidden, so with 3 dots. And then only if you click on the ad or the 3 listings, then you can see the full title. So I prefer it to do it this way. And so you can add a lot of different things. Do you want to add the product type? Do you want to add the SKU, for example? Sometimes that's also important. If you have, in certain cases where consumers search for the SKU, then adding this in the title is very important. Of course, don't add the availability or promotional text. That's not allowed, so don't include that. Sometimes the weight and the dimensions are also important. Let's say you're selling furniture, then adding these are very important. So you can add that as well. And let's just save the attribute. Now, again, when we want to add it to our feed, make sure that you clear the cache, otherwise it will not show. So clear cache. Once that's removed, then we go to the title and we can scroll to the bottom, near the bottom, and then it's a little bit off screen. It's underneath dynamic attributes mapping, and then we can see the ones that we've created. Now we also have dynamic attributes. That's basically an if-else statement. So for example, if product title contains t-shirt, because, for example, in certain cases, you might have just one type of t-shirt and they're all cotton. And then what you want to do is just change the text and then add cotton. And then what we want to do is save dynamic attribute. And then what we want to do is create the attribute name. So let's say feed army material. There we go. Now in manage feeds, we want to go to our custom Google Shopping. Now clear the cache, and then what we want to do is, for example, add material and then select our custom value. So again, it's off screen, but it's underneath dynamic attributes, and then it's here, feed army material. And then once that's updated, we can go and have a look at the file. And now there should be a column for material at the end. Here we go. And as you can see, it's not matching anything. And that's because it's just called shirt, the title. So let's go and fix that. So we go to dynamic attributes. Click on edit. Let's just call that shirt. Update, manage feeds. Clear the cache, Google Shopping, update and generate, and let's have a look now. And now you can see cotton is added. And that is a great option if you want to automate certain things and you know that it's always the same. So if it's a shirt, it's always going to be cotton, then you can add that. And then we have WP options. This is if you want to map your own custom attributes from WordPress into the feed itself. This is more advanced. So let's say you have capabilities to add your own functions, and then you can add this data as well in the feed. And that is pretty cool. So that is pretty much the basics of CTX Feed. I'm liking this because it is free and you can use the main features of the feed solution, which is setting up the feed and mapping it to Google Merchant Center. The advanced features allows you then to customize the feed, which is great if you want to improve the data feed. It's very important that you improve the data feed quality because that is the foundation of your Google Ads and free listing performance. So the better your foundation of the data feed is, the better your performance is in Google Ads. So make sure that you improve everything, and that will then help you grow your business. And now for merchants that want the pro versions to have all the features, Webappic has been so generous to give everyone a 10% discount when you make a purchase. So let's go and have a look how to do that. So what we go and do is go to webappic/plugin/WooCommerce-product-feed-pro. I will share the link in the description. And what we want to do is go and get the plugin. We choose the option that we want. So if you have a single site, 5 sites or 10 sites, let's go ahead with 1 site. You enter in your details, and here we want to add the coupon Feed Army, and then click on apply. You get a nice 10% discount, and then fill out all the details to make the purchase. And this comes to an end of this video, a great little tutorial on how to use CTX Feed to submit your WooCommerce products to Google Merchant Center and get a 10% discount from CTX Feed Pro version, which is pretty cool. And thank you for them for sharing that with all my users. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out or leave a comment downstairs. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.